In this video, I'm going to teach you how to create door tags so that we can eventually create a schedule. So we want to go ahead and tag the doors on the floor plan because this doesn't really have to do with the design plan, and we don't want a whole lot of information sort of taking away from the information on our design plan. So I'm going to go ahead and just pause for a second and hide some of these elevation tags that I've created but that are getting a little bit in the way, because I really just want this drawing to be just walls, windows, doors, and architectural features. So I'm going to hide this floor finish, and I'm going to hide these tags, and I'm going to hide all of these these finishes and things like that. So I'm going to start by hitting VV, which is all my visibility settings. And I don't want to hide all the floors because that's going to hide the finish layer as well as the regular floors. So this may not be the best method. So what I'm going to do instead of that, although that's such a great trick when it's appropriate, is I'm going to go ahead and just grab these things individually and hide them. So I'll pause and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've hidden everything except for I left the plumbing elements in there because that's really helpful when someone is first looking at a plan to immediately orient themselves to where the restrooms are. So now I'm going to go to my annotate tab and I will tag the doors first. So I'm going to, let's see, instead of that, I'm going to do tag all, and I'm going to just do the door tags for right now. Okay, so wonderful. Look, it tagged all the doors, and it can sometimes tag them in a strange order. And so what I want to do is I want to renumber the tagging because there's a lot of different ways to tag the doors, but I'm going to tag them in the order that you might experience them in the building. And then I'm going to kind of do it counterclockwise or clockwise. And so I'm going to start by, all you have to do to change the number is just click on the tag, and instead of 9, I'm going to make it 1. Okay, and then this can be 2, that's fine. And then I'm going to just go ahead and pause and renumber these. Now it'll only let you have one of each number on the screen at a time. So if I number this door number 1, it's not going to let this door be number 1 also. So it's going to kind of flag that. So just be aware of that as you are tagging these things. Now, even though some of these may be the same door types, they're still going to be tagged with different numbers because they might have different hardwares, or they might have a different fire rating. So just because they may both be a single passage flush door right now, there may be distinguishing characteristics about them that are not obvious right now. That's why they all have a different number. Okay, so you can see my doors are tagged, and keep in mind that if they're in the way or overlapping something, all you have to do is grab them to move them. And again, overwriting is just a matter of hovering over the tag and then clicking within the box to edit the parameter. So the other thing that I'm going to do just while we're here is I'm going to put some room tags as well. Now, room tags are view specific. So if I create them here, they're not going to show up in the design plan. But it's going to be helpful for me to know which room door number 7 is located in. So the way that you tag rooms is, again, you go to annotate. Now, if you go ahead and hit the room tag here, it will just tag the easy ones. But we want to go ahead and hit this. Now, it's going to be easy for a couple of them, but then in this space right here, it's going to be difficult because it's what we consider to be an open floor plan, and Revit's not going to know that we sort of want to think about these spaces as separate rooms. So before I tag the room, I'm going to do the room separator here. And all it does is it creates a little room where a room doesn't necessarily exist because of walls. So I want this to be the vestibule because I might need to mark something in that vestibule, and I want it to be maybe separate from this corridor. So I'm going to subdivide this space just a little bit, and I'm going to make this the kitchenette area. And the rest of this can be open office, no problem. All right. So let's go again back to architecture and room. And now as you hover, it's going to create a room that then we'll be able to overwrite. We'll be able to tell Revit what we want the room name to be. Now, eventually, I'm going to make sure that there's no overlapping in my room tags with everything else. I'm going to make sure that they align where possible. And I'm going to just try to make sure that the tags are, you know, designerly in their placement. And that's really just sort of a way of saying that we've placed them with some thought and some intent, and that they're not just sort of arbitrarily placed in a way that is going to make a mess of everything. We still would see probably we would still see the grid lines on this level 2 floor plan. So I can't really delete anything so that there's no overlapping, but you can see here, I'm trying to start to align maybe the placement of this room tag with the one next to it. And now once I hit the escape button, I've got room tags everywhere. I want to change the room number and the room name. So the room number or the room name is going to be all caps, and this could be called reception. And I'm going to change the room number to 101. Now, ideally, if this is room 5, so it's going to be called 105. This door is number 5. If this is room number 6, the door is door number 6. So there is a correlation between the room names and numbers and the door numbers to the degree that you can. It makes it a little bit easier if there's some thought placed in that. But just keep in mind that there are limitations as far as, you know, there's not always just one door for each room. So also keep in mind that this is room 101 and this is room 105 because it's the 5th room on what we are considering as the first floor. Now we have several different levels, but this is on the first floor. So for the 2nd floor, the corridor, there would be 205. The reception, there would be 201. So there should be a relationship between these numerical and naming systems. So I'm going to pause for now, and I'm going to change the names and the numbers of these rooms. So now you can see that the rooms have been tagged, and they are associated to the best of my ability with the room, with an ascending order, how you might experience the space, but then really also more tied to the doors as well. But look, if you go to the design plan, you can't see them. So they are very view specific. Now, what's neat about it is if I go to tag rooms in here, it will pick up on the labels so that they're not duplicated, because of course these are duplicates of each other. So you wouldn't have to do all the work again as far as naming everything and numbering everything, but you would have to place them all. So now that the rooms are tagged, now we can make a schedule. So I'm going to right click and go to new schedule. And you can see a schedule is a great way to organize a ton of different information. And so for now, we're going to start by creating a door schedule. So it's asking us what kind of information we want to put in the door schedule. So we want to put the description in. Finish is fine. Again, you can add and remove these quite easily. Frame material, we can add frame type, why not? We want to put the mark in because that's the tag. And we can put the rough height if we want to, rough width. Okay. And that works just fine for us for now. Now I can put the mark, if I want that to come first, I can move it up. Boy, it sure would be nice if I could put the room name in here as well. Anyway, let's go ahead and hit, if we hit OK now, schedule will pop up. We might also want to filter and sort these. We know that we're going to sort them by mark in ascending order. After that, it doesn't really matter, but if we wanted to then bring in, let's say we wanted to organize it by, you know, the rough width in ascending order, for example, we could do that. Formatting, this is fine. Appearance is okay. That's usually where I like to start and then see how it looks after that. So here's our door finish schedule, or pardon me, our door schedule. Now this, I like to always have this in all caps. Now the frame type and material may not be established yet, and that's okay. I would like to see if it's a single passage, double passage, etc. So I'm going to go back and maybe that's not the description. Maybe that's not the term that the schedule likes to think about it as. So I'm going to hit this, and I'm going to do edit type. And it looks like the panel material and the frame material is what is actually called out. So panel material and frame material. Let's go ahead and call that out. And let's see if we can get on our schedule the information about the door type itself. So I'm going to go back to schedule and double click on it. And I'm going to go to the field section and edit. And it just may not let us give that information right now. It doesn't look like it does. Now, what we can do is if you want to include everything, just to see what information pops up, you can hold down your shift key and move everything over. And we can create a really big door schedule. Let's make sure the mark is at the beginning now. Okay, good. Wow, look at all that. Okay, so this is everything you ever wanted to know about doors in your project, but maybe we're afraid to ask. So you can see the family and type, that's where we get the information. Okay, so all of these things are easy. All you have to do is if you don't want it, you just delete the column. So I'm going to delete these, empty columns right now, and the ones that aren't really relevant to us. And then I'm also going to adjust the size of the column so that this ends up being something that we could fit on a sheet. So I'm going to pause for right now and show you it when it's done being formatted a little bit. Okay, so now you can see that I've gotten this into something a little bit more manageable for our purposes. So we'll be able to determine for sure the height and width and family type. But just keep in mind that if you start to fill in the information for the doors by, for example, clicking on it and hitting edit type, and you start to fill in this information, then all you have to do is add that field into the schedule and it will reveal. So all of the things that we just checked and slid over into create that schedule that was really, really long, that's what all of these are. So again, you get to control what you show in your schedules, and the more information that you have about each door type, the more information you can populate in a schedule. But for us, we don't have a lot of information right now. So there's no sense in having a bunch of empty columns. But as you progress in your design career, you might get into more of this information, especially if you have sales reps selling you this. Or providing families for you that have this information preloaded, just like what we saw from the Hayworth website, then all of a sudden you don't have to produce this, it's just already there, and then you just have to check the box to create it in the schedule.